On to our next news. British supermodel Naomi Campbell has spoken out about her name appearing in the controversial Jeffrey Epstein files. In a statement shared on her social media, Campbell denied any connection to Epstein's criminal activities, despite being mentioned in emails, contact lists, and schedules released by the U.S. Justice Department.
What if I revealed that right now, as we speak, a shadowy syndicate thrives, where dozens of Hollywood's biggest players rule private kingdoms with zero cops, zero cameras, and absolutely zero rules? The exact lawless paradise that let Jeffrey Epstein lurk in the darkness for over 10 years. And I already know your vibe. You want the tea. Today, we're exposing 6 of them. But before the chaos begins, let me be totally real. This video isn't dragging any specific person for a crime. That's not the play. Many of these icons have built massive legacies and legit empires. But that's not the real tea, is it? The real mystery is this. Why does the system still protect this level of secrecy? Why, after the total nightmare of the Epstein saga, does celebrity-owned private land still exist without checks, without audits, without any heat? Because sometimes it's not about the guests. Sometimes it's about the system that quietly lets the worst things slide by unnoticed. And that's where the drama starts. The islands. Island number 1, Naomi Campbell's eye-shaped fortress in Turkey. We're kicking off with the one that's been making the most noise lately. And once you see it, you'll understand why. Naomi Campbell owns a private fortress just off the Turkish coast. And from the sky, not figuratively, but literally, the island is shaped like an eye. More specifically, it mirrors the ancient Eye of Horus. Now, I'm not here to explain that symbolism, but I'm also not going to ignore it. Still, the architecture is just the surface. The darker layer takes us back to the Epstein ledgers, where Naomi Campbell's name appears again and again and again, nearly 300 times, not once, not twice, almost 300 documented entries. Records reveal email threads where Campbell herself requested seats on Epstein's private jet. The same aircraft later dubbed the Lolita Express. Plans were made to meet at his New York mansion. Invitations were sent across international. Maintained constant contact with Jeffrey Epstein from 2001 all the way through 2016. 15 years. 15 years of emails, sightings, travel, and continued friendship, including long after his 2008 conviction. Her legal team has publicly stated she had no idea of his crimes until his 2019 arrest. But let's be real for a second. 15 years of consistent hanging out after that kind of history is difficult to swallow. I mean, if someone in my circle was arrested and convicted, I don't think I'd still be visiting their private island nearly a decade later. But that's just me. Now, fast forward to today. She owns her own island. Same setup, private location, no public entry, no real oversight. And the question echoing across the internet is the exact same one many believe authorities like the U.S. Department of Justice should be asking too. Island number 2, Oprah Winfrey's African Estates and Leadership Academy in South Africa. Oprah doesn't technically own a secluded island in the tropical sense, but some of her land holdings in Africa function with a similar level of isolation, limited outside visibility, controlled access, and very little independent monitoring. And history has already shown what can happen when that kind of environment exists unvetted. Back in 2007, Oprah launched the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. It was a massive $40 million project aimed at helping disadvantaged young girls. She promoted it globally. It became one of her most celebrated humanitarian wins. And on the surface, it looked exactly like that, something genuinely positive. No argument there. But then came 2011. A dorm matron at the academy, Virginia Tiny Makopo, was accused of physically and sexually abusing students. These weren't rumors. The allegations came directly from the girls themselves, minors placed under the institution's care inside a school personally backed and overseen by Oprah. Makopo was later acquitted. But that wasn't the part the public couldn't swallow. The real horror was how a scandal this massive could even ignite in the first place. How could accusations of that gravity fester within a private campus in a secluded world for that long without anyone stepping in? Critics pointed to the obvious red flags. The system itself, a locked environment, remote location, zero external monitoring, no media access, no clear accountability, the exact same conditions that once let Epstein's operation thrive hidden in plain sight. And the nightmare didn't end there. In 2024, over a decade later, fresh allegations surfaced involving inappropriate behavior at that same institution. Oprah's foundation fiercely denied the reports, but the dark clouds surrounding the campus, they never really drifted away. And then things get 7 levels messier. A 2010 email from Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's primary accomplice, currently rotting behind bars, offered Campbell what was described as 2 playmates. Her PR team later insisted that phrase referred to male assistants. You can interpret that however you want, but the calendar never lies. According to documented records, Naomi Campbell maintained constant contact with Jeffrey Epstein from 2001 all the way through 2016. 15 years. 15 years of emails, sightings, travel, and continued friendship, including long after his 2008 conviction. Her legal team has publicly stated she had no idea of his crimes until his 2019 arrest. But let's be real for a second. 15 years of consistent hanging out after that kind of history is difficult to swallow. I mean, if someone in my circle was arrested and convicted, I don't think I'd still be visiting their private island nearly a decade later. But that's just me. Now, fast forward to today. She owns her own island. Same setup, private location, no public entry, no real oversight. And the question echoing across the internet is the exact same one many believe authorities like the US Department of Justice should be asking too. Island number 2, Oprah Winfrey's African Estates and Leadership Academy in South Africa. Oprah doesn't technically own a secluded island in the tropical sense, but some of her land holdings in Africa function with a similar level of isolation, limited outside visibility, controlled access, and very little independent monitoring. And history has already shown what can happen when that kind of environment exists unvetted. Way back in 2007, Oprah debuted the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. It was a staggering $40 million venture designed to rescue disadvantaged young girls. She hyped it worldwide. It became one of her most legendary humanitarian triumphs. And on the surface, it looked precisely like that, something genuinely heroic. No debate there. But then hit 2011. A dorm matron at the school, Virginia Tiny Makopo, was accused of physically and sexually traumatizing students. These weren't whispers. The claims came straight from the girls themselves, minors trapped under the institution's wing inside a school personally bankrolled and managed by Oprah. Makopo was later cleared. But that wasn't the detail the public couldn't swallow. The real horror was how a scandal this massive could even ignite in the first place. How could accusations of that gravity fester within a private campus in a secluded world for that long without anyone stepping in? Critics pointed to the obvious red flags. The system itself, a locked environment, remote location, zero external monitoring, no media access, no clear accountability, the exact same conditions that once let Epstein's operation thrive hidden in plain sight. And the nightmare didn't end there. In 2024, over a decade later, fresh allegations surfaced involving inappropriate behavior at that same institution. Oprah's foundation fiercely denied the reports, but the dark clouds surrounding the campus, they never really drifted away. Beyond the academy, Oprah Winfrey also maintained secluded retreat estates across Africa, locations where influential figures and celebrities are known to gather far from public view. No media access, no open records, no visibility into who comes, who goes, or what unfolds behind those gates. And again, let's be clear. No one is making criminal accusations here. That's not the point. The point is this. After everything uncovered in the Epstein case, any private environment, especially one connected to young people and lacking external oversight, should raise serious questions. And right now, no one seems to be asking them. Island number 3, Richard Branson's Necker Island in the British Virgin Islands. Let's break this one down. Branson purchased Necker Island in 1979 for just $120,000. Today, it's valued at around $200 million. He transformed it into one of the most elite private destinations in the world. From $120,000 to $200 million. Call it what you want. That's an unbelievable transformation. But here's where things take a turn. The guest list at Necker Island reads like a blueprint of global power. Barack Obama has stayed there. Princess Diana visited. Kate Middleton, Prince Harry, Nelson Mandela, Tony Blair, all have spent time on that island. And that's only part of the picture. Mariah Carey, Kate Moss, Harry Styles, a revolving door of elite names, all operating completely outside public visibility. No cameras, no press, no official records of what happens behind those shores. Then in 2007, Branson expanded. He purchased a second island right beside it, Mosquito Island, spanning 125 acres for $12.7 million. Now he controls 2 neighboring private islands. Both can be rented out entirely for private events, corporate retreats, high-profile weddings, even political gatherings, all conducted behind closed doors. And in 2011, after a fire gutted his home on Necker, Richard Branson rebuilt. This time with even more hardcore privacy measures and tighter security. So step back and look at the full picture. Some of the most powerful individuals on the planet gathering regularly in a place with zero oversight, zero transparency, and zero public accountability. Before Epstein, maybe that just sounded luxurious. After Epstein, it sounds like a question waiting to be answered. Island number 4, David Copperfield's Musha Cay in the Bahamas. This one might be the most surreal entry yet, and that's saying a lot because David Copperfield didn't just buy one island. He owns 4. Combined, they stretch across 700 acres. The centerpiece is Musha Cay, which he acquired in 2006 for $50 million. One of the most expensive private island deals at the time. He also rents it for $57,000 per night with a strict minimum stay, meaning just stepping foot there costs at least $228,000. That alone tells you everything about the type of guests this place attracts. The island includes 5 ultra-luxury villas, a beachfront movie theater, and something called a secret village accessible only through a hidden statue. Not a metaphor, an actual hidden statue entrance. And then there's this detail. David Copperfield has publicly claimed he discovered a fountain of youth somewhere on the island. A real one, he said it in interviews. Let that sit for a second. 700 acres for private islands, a hidden village behind a statue, a claimed fountain of youth, $57,000 per night, and absolutely no law enforcement presence across the entire property. Before Epstein, you might call that eccentric. After Epstein, it starts to feel like something else entirely. Island number 5, Leonardo DiCaprio's Blackador Cay in Belize. Back in 2005, Leonardo DiCaprio purchased this 104-acre island for $1.75 million. At the time, he made a bold promise. It would become an eco-friendly luxury resort, a global model for sustainability. He spoke about it at environmental conferences. It became a key part of his public identity as a climate advocate. It sounded perfect. But here is the catch. It is now 2026, over 2 decades later, and construction has literally never started. Not one building, not a single visible development, just a silent private island quietly held for 21 years. To be fair, there were hurdles. Green groups fought back, claiming the resort would actually wreck the nearby reef systems. A messy irony for a project meant to save the planet. Permits died, plans stalled. But still, 21 years is an eternity, and everyone is asking a very fair question. Was the eco-resort ever actually the goal? Or was it just a convenient cover story to justify owning a private getaway without any outside interference? And here's a spicy layer. Leonardo DiCaprio dated Naomi Campbell back in 1995. So, the link between these 2 private island owners is ancient history. Whether that connection is deep or dead, I will leave that for you to decide. I am just connecting the dots. Island number 6, Faith Hill and Tim McGraw's Island in the Bahamas. And honestly, this might be the most normal entry on our list. Their island, known as L'Isle d'Anges, meaning Island of Angels, acts mostly as a quiet family sanctuary. No massive scandals, no sketchy links to anything dark, no headlines screaming red flags, and to be totally honest, there is zero proof that anything shady is going on there. This power couple has kept one of the cleanest reputations in the entire music business. But that is precisely why they made the list. Because at the end of the day, it is not about how shiny a public image looks. It is not about charity checks or good vibes. Private islands, by their very design, exist in a vacuum with zero actual oversight. No permanent police force, no prying cameras, and zero requirement to report who lands or what happens behind those locked gates. So this is not a hit piece on Faith Hill or Tim McGraw personally. The real crisis is way bigger. The same broken system that let Jeffrey Epstein hide nightmare crimes for decades is the exact same system protecting every island we just mentioned. And even after the US Department of Justice dumped millions of Epstein files, there has not been a single real move to close that loophole. Not one. Before we end this, I have to be crystal clear. And I mean it. For real. Nothing in this video claims any person mentioned is doing anything illegal on their land. That is not the claim. Richard Branson has built global empires and changed industries. Leonardo DiCaprio is a literal poster child for the climate. Oprah Winfrey has poured millions into schools and giving back. These are the facts. But none of that answers the one question that haunts this entire story. Why? After the world saw the truth about Jeffrey Epstein, does a total lack of oversight still exist for private islands owned by the ultra-rich? Because the Epstein saga was never just about one monster. It exposed a structure, a system that made it possible for those horrors to happen because nobody was looking. And right now, that exact same system is wide open, not just on these islands, but on dozens more we didn't even name. That is the real tea. And the fact that the people in power are ignoring it says way more than any headline ever could. Now, I want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment and tell me, which of these elite spots should the DOJ raid first? And do you think they actually have the nerve to do it? If you want the deep dives the mainstream media is too terrified to touch, hit that subscribe button. We do not do surface level gossip, we dig for the secrets they want buried. I am out.